A very good afternoon and welcome to your favorite teleeducation program, Home Study. My name is Lerato Mabilisa, and also joining me in the studio is Nogwazi Dlamini, my colleague, and the sign language interpreter, Nompumelelo Hatebe. A very good afternoon, Nogwazi.
A very good afternoon to you, Lerato, and of course a very good afternoon to our viewers back at home. Welcome back to Home Study on this beautiful, very, very warmish kind of Wednesday afternoon. What does our day look like today?
Well, from 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. we have mathematics for the grade 1s and 2s. From 2:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. we have practical arts for the grade 3s and 4s. From 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. we have science for the grade 5s and the grade 6s. From 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. we have literature for the form 1s and 2s. From 4 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. we have biology for the form 4s. The last lesson from 4:30 p.m. until 5 p.m. is chemistry for the form 4 learners.
Just a reminder to our viewers back at home that we are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, another reminder that we do have a WhatsApp number that you guys can use from time to time. Actually, not from time to time, during any lessons that you are watching to ask any questions that you might have. We ask kindly that you text us the questions that you have. You do not call us, you do not send us voice notes because we will not be able to answer those. Now, without wasting any time, grades 1 and 2, after the break, Lerato will be taking you through with the mathematics teacher. We'll be right back after this.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds, full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Eye on SADC, telling the African story from an African perspective. This is the only news program bringing you news, views, and interviews straight from the countries where it happened. Join me, Ndishishi Hamfungu, as I take you on a journey across Southern Africa. That's on Eye on SADC, news of SADC from SADC.
Welcome grade 1s and 2s. This is the first subject for today and you are learning mathematics with teacher Nonjabulo Mzileni, and the topic for today is writing numbers 0 to 10. A very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Lerato.
How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
I'm alright. So today's topic is writing numbers from 0 to 10.
Yes, the learners will be writing, they'll learn how to write numbers 0 to 10.
Okay. What would you expect them to have learned by the end of this lesson?
By the end of the lesson, I expect the learner to be able to trace and write numbers 0 to 10. Then they will read numbers in words 1 up to 10.
Okay, without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
Thank you, Lerato. Good day, dear learner at home. I'm teacher Nonjabulo Mzileni, and our today's lesson will be learning how to write numbers 0 to 10. By the end of the lesson, I expect the learner to be able to trace and write numbers 0 to 10 correctly. They will also read numbers in words 1 up to 10. I expect the learner at home to have with him or her a pencil, an eraser, an exercise book, workbook. We are going to start from pages 22 up to page 41. I'm sorry, dear Lena at home. On our today's lesson, dear Lena, I expect.
Okay,
May
ma'am.
please take a break.
Okay. Can we please take a quick infomercial? We'll be back after the infomercial.
Thank you, Lara.
Grade 1 after this. Ma'am, you may continue with your lesson.
Thank you, Lerato. Okay, dear learner at home, as I was saying, by the end of the lesson, I expect the learner at home to be able to trace and write numbers 0 to 10 correctly. The learner will also read numbers in words from 1 up to 10. I expect you to have a pencil, an eraser, an exercise book, and your workbook, where we are going to start from page 22 up to page 41. Okay, dear learner at home, the learners are able to recognize numbers 0 to 20. They can also count objects. This is the lesson that was learned previously, and the keywords for today, dear learner, are count, trace, and read. The learners are going to count objects, they're going to trace numbers, and they will read numbers in words. Okay, dear learner at home, now I want us to recite numbers from 0 to 20. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Very good, dear learner at home. Now, dear learner at home, I want us to look at these numbers. I want us to look at these numbers. These are numbers 0 to 10. Numbers 0 to 10. We are going to say these numbers together. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good, dear learner at home. Like I said earlier, today we are going to learn how to write these numbers. We are going to learn how to write these numbers from 0 to number 10. Let us look at this elephant, dear Lena. Let us look at this picture of an elephant. How many elephants are here, dear Lena? 1. There is only one elephant. Now, dear Lena, I want us to look at this number in word. This is number 1 in words. This is number 1 in words. Now, I want us to spell this number together, dear Lena. O-N-E. 1. O-N-E. 1. This is number 1 in words. Number 1 in words. Now I want us to trace this number 1. This is number 1 in numeral. I want us to join these dots to form the number 1. I want us to join these dots to form the number 1. When writing number 1, dear Lena, we start from the top and you go straight down. You start from the top and you go straight down. Now, dear Lena, I want us to write the number 1 below this picture. We say number 1, we start from the top and you go straight down. You go straight down. Very good, dear Lena, at home. Now, let us look at these objects. I have these objects with me, dear Lena. I want us to count the number of objects. 1, 2. There are 2 objects, dear Lena. Now this is number 2 in words. This is number 2 in words. Let us spell the number 2 together. T W O 2. T W O 2. Very good, Lena. This is number 2 in words. Now I want us to join these dots to form the number 2. When writing number 2, you curve around, then you slide to the right. When you write number 2, you curve around and slide to the right. Now I want us to write the number 2 below this object. We said number 2, you curve around and slide to the right. I hope you can all see this number 2, dear Lena. Now, dear Lena, I want us to count this number of objects together. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 objects, dear Lena. And this is number 3 in words. This is number 3 in words. Let us spell the number 3 together. T H R E E. 3. Again. T H R E E. 3. Very good. This is number 3 in words. Now I want us to join these dots and form the number 3. When writing number 3, you curve around and around again. You curve around and around again. Now let us write the number 3 below this object. You say when writing number 3, you curve around and around again. Very good, dear Lena. This is number 3. This is number 3. This is number 3. Okay, dear Lena at home. Now, dear Lena, let us look at these objects. We are going to count the number of objects together. Let us count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 objects. There are 4 objects. And this is number 4 in words. This is number 4 in words. 4 in words. Let us spell the number 4. F O U R. 4. F O U R. 4. Very good, Lena. Now, when you are writing number 4, let us join these dots to form the number 4. When you write number 4, you move down across, then you cut it in half. You move down, across, then you cut it in half. You start by moving down. Let us write this number 4 here below this object. We start by moving down, then you move across to your right, then you cut it in half. This is number 4, dear Lena. Now let us look at these objects. I want us to count this number of objects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 objects. They are 5 objects, and this is number 5 in words. Number 5 in words. And when we are writing number 5, we start by drawing a neck. Let's join this dot. You draw a neck, a tummy, then you put on a hat. You start by drawing the neck, the tummy, then you put on a hat. Let us write the number 5 below this object. You draw a neck, a tummy, then you put on a hat. You put on a hat to form the number 5. To form the number 5. Very good, dear Lena. Now I want us to look at these numbers together. These numbers, we have the numerals and we have the numbers in words. This is number 1. This is number 1. This is number 2. Good, dear Lena. This is number 3. Good. This is number 4. And this is number 5. Very good. We are going to match these numerals with the numbers in words. We have numbers in words this side. Let us read this number in word. TWO2. This is number 2 in word. Then we are going to match with the number 2. From 2 in words, you match with the number 2. Now let us read this number in word. FIVE 5. Let us match with the number 5. Here is number 5. Good, dear Lena. Number, let's read the word ONE 1. ONE 1. Let us match with the number 1. There is number 1. Good. FOUR 4. Let us match with the number 4. Very good. Number THREE 3 in words. Let us match with the numeral 3. Very good, dear Lena. Now let us count this number of objects now. These buckets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 buckets. There are 6 buckets. Now let us look at this number 6 in words. Number 6 in words. Let us spell the number 6. SIX. 6. SIX. 6. Now, dear Lena, let us join these dots to make the number 6. When writing 6, you move down, across, then you curl it up. When writing number 6, you move down, across, and curl it up. Now let us write the number 6 below this object. You move down, across, and curl it up. Okay, dear Lena at home. Now let us count this number of apples here. How many apples are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very good. Let us look at this number 7 in word. This is number 7 in words. Let us spell the number 7. SEVEN. 7. SEVEN. and 7. Now let us join the dots to form the number 7. We said when writing number 7, you move across, then you move down. Very good, dear Lena. Let us write the number 7 below this object. You move across to the right, then you go down. Very good. Now let us count this number of objects. How many objects are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 objects, and this is number 8 in words. Number 8 in words. When writing the number 8, dear Elena, you start by making an S. You make an S, then you climb back up. This is number 8. You make an S, then you climb back up. Let us write the number 8 below here. 8S, then you climb back up. Very good, dear Elena. Now I want us to count this number of bags here. How many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 bags, and this is number 9 in words. This is number 9 in words. Let us spell the number 9. N-I-N-E. 9. N-I-N-E. 9. This is 9 in words. Now let us draw the number 9. When drawing number 9, you draw a ball and then a stick down. You start by drawing a ball and a stick down. Now let us draw the number 9. Let us write the number 9 here. A ball, then a stick down. Very good, dear Lena. Now let us write the number 0 here, which represent an empty set. The number 0 which represent an empty set. When writing number 0, dear Lena, you start at the top, you go around to make the number 0. This is the number 0, which is an empty set. There is nothing inside the set. There is nothing inside the set. This is the number 0. Now let us count this number of objects together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 objects. There are 10 objects. Here is number 10 in words. Number 10 in words. Let us spell the number 10 in words, dear Elena. T, E, N, 10. T, E, N, 10. Very good, dear Lena. And when writing number 10 now has 2 digits. There are now 2 numbers in number 10. There is number 1 and there is number 0. Let us join these dots to form the number 10. We said when writing 1, we start at the top, we go straight down. And when we are writing number 0, you start at the top, you go around and around to make the number 0. Remember, dear Lena at home, when writing number 10, always start by writing the number 1, then followed by 0. You don't start by writing the number 0 followed by 1. Now let us write the number 10 here. We said you start from the top, you write 1, start from the top, you go straight down. Then you write the number 0. You start at the top, you go around to make the number 0. Very good, Lena. Now I want us to read these numerals here. I want us to read these numbers. This is number 6, 7, yes, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Now I want us to read the numbers in words so that we match them with the numerals here. S-E-V-E-N 7. Let us match with the number 7. Good, dear Lena. This is N-I-N-E 9. Let us match with the number 9. Good, there is number 9. This is S-I-X 6. 6. Let us match with the number 6. Good, dear Lena. This is T-E-N 10. Let us match with the number 10. Good, dear Lena. Then this is E-I-G-H-T 8. Let us match with the numeral 8. Very good, dear Lena. Now I want you to use your exercise books. We are going to write the numbers 1 up to number 0 up to number 10 using your exercise books. This is an example of your exercise book. We have this red line. When you are writing, you always start writing on your right. You don't use teacher's space. Here now I want us to write the number. You start next to the red line. Let us write the number 0. We said 0. When writing 0, you start at the top. You go around to form the number 0. And when you are writing number 1 now, leave a square so that your numbers are neat. Then you write number 1. We said 1. You start at the top. You go down to make the number 1. You leave another square. You write number 2. You curve around and slide to the right. Very good, dear Lena. You leave another square. You write number 3. We said you curve around and around again. You leave another square below these numbers so that your numbers are neat. You write number 4. You move down, across, and you cut it in half. Now let us switch. Number follows number 4. Number 5. When writing number 5, you draw a neck, a tummy, then you put on a head. A neck, a tummy, then you put on a head. You skip a line, you write number 6. You move down, across, then you curl it up. Very good. You leave a square, you write number 7. You slide to the right, then you slide down. Very good, dear Lena. We go to number 8. Good. You make an S, then you climb back up. Very good. You leave a square, you go to number 9. You draw a circle and then a stick. Very good, dear Lena. Number 10, you draw a 1, which is you move down. Then you draw a 0 to make the number 10. Very good, dear Lena. Now I want us to sing this rhyme together, dear learners. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 4 and 5. 1, I need to put on my mask all the time, all the time. 2, I need to wash my hands with soap and running water. 3, I need to cough on a tissue and throw it in the bin. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hops away from everybody. And 5, stay home, read and play, read and play. Thank you, dear Elena at home. That is the end of our lesson.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. This was a very interesting lesson. I'm hoping you're going to come again next time and give us a lesson as nice as this one.
Thank you, Lerato. I hope I'll be back again.
Okay, grade 3s and 4s, do not go anywhere. Your teacher will be back after this infomercial.
Sinibusele maswati lamahle kanye nabo bonke abazalwane eveni laseswatini. Igama lami ngingayandazwane Health Promotions Officer walolu hlelo lolushasha lolubitwa ngekuthi yi-Faith and Community Initiative kafishane FCI.
Njengoba sisho sobe sikhuluma ngokusebenzisana nelibali bafundisi ngisho njalo namabali anebantu akhiwa abantu lebafikayo lebangela lamaswati lesikhuluma ngawo and kuyindlela kuba ngiyona leyo platform lenye lekubonakala ukuthi singayisebenzisa kwabonakala even then singayisebenzisa ukuthi sikhone ukuthi sifike kubo bonke abantu
ikakhulu lubuke ukuthi bantu basitakale kwekucala enzabeni yokuthi kwanze umsebenzi wokuvikela igciwane le-HIV la kangwane
but labantu bebathi disclose bona bathi sho bona sibanjani baphathekile bathantazelwe labo bantu labo nabativa bangcono bebasithatha hayi ngitiva sengiphilile mina asizange ngisho kanye ndakunika nje good example sibatshela sabayekela amaphilisi
namhla ke ngide ukuthi ukhuthata indvodza into ukhuthata babe ukuthi asade isimo sakhe sengadi kumcoka ukuthi usade isimo sengadi kuze utokhombisa luthando lonalo emndenini wakho utokhombisa luthando lonalo nasemphakathini.
Welcome grade 3s and 4s. This is the second subject for today and you are learning practical arts. A very good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon, Lerato.
How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
I'm alright. So today's topic is I have a cut.
Yes.
What do you expect the viewer to have learned by the end of the lesson?
By the end of the lesson, I expect learners to be able to define a cut. To be able to differentiate between a severe cut and a minor cut, to be able to treat a cut correctly, and also to identify items that can cause a cut.
Okay, without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
Greetings to all grade 4 learners at home. With you is teacher Mavimbela, who is going to take you for practical art. Our today's lesson is I have a cut. This lesson is going to help learners to be aware of dangerous objects around them. Our lesson objectives are: by the end of the lesson, a learner should be able to define a cut. A learner should be able to name items that may cause a cut. They should be able to differentiate between a minor and a severe cut. Treat a minor cut using the correct method. I know that, my dear learner at home, you have got different views about the word a cut. Let me ask you this question. What happens when you have a cut? How do you feel? I know that some of you, they will say that I feel a pain. It is painful. What comes out of the cut? I know that you say it's blood. Yes, it's blood. And when you see the blood, you become afraid of the blood. Even myself, I am afraid of blood, guys. So you know that when you have a cut, blood comes out. You even scream to alert your mom that you have got a cut. So that is why our today's topic is about a cut. Before I continue with my topic, I want us to define the word a cut. I'm going to give you a clear explanation of the word a cut. When we talk of a cut, we are talking about a wound that is caused by sharp objects. It is a wound that is caused by sharp objects. Let me make an example. Knife. We all know a knife. Knife is normally used in the kitchen for cutting food. And razor blade. We know a razor blade. We sometimes use it for sharpening our pencil. But that is wrong, my dear Lena. It is not correct to use a razor blade. But we should use a sharpener. Sharp tin lids. We normally use the tins for making toys. Barbed wire and broken glasses. You can name other objects that may cause a cut. Then we have got two kinds of cuts. The first one being a minor cut or a small cut, and severe or deep cut. So now I know that some of you is their first time hearing the word minor. So I am going to give you a simple explanation of the word minor. When we talk of a minor cut, we are talking about a small cut, a shallow one, a clean cut that may not bleed much. And then when we talk of a severe one, we are talking about a cut that is very deep and it bleeds continuously and may contain unwanted materials or objects. Let me make an example. Let's say you were having a practical lesson in the classroom, and then while you were preparing that practical lesson, a bottle fell down. And when you try to collect the broken pieces of the bottle, you got a cut. You can agree with me, my dear Lena, that cut will be a deep cut. It will be a severe cut. So now with me, my dear Lena, I've got pictures. There are two pictures with me. I want you to tell me, what type of cut is that one? What type of cut is in the pictures? I can see that some of you, they are scratching their heads. But let me tell you, my dear Lena, this is a minor cut. It's a minor cut. You can see that this cut is clean. It does not have much blood. So this is a minor one. It is a small cut. Then I've got another picture with me. If you can look at the picture, what kind of cut is that one? I know that some of you, they've got the answer. So this is a severe cut. This is a severe cut. Okay, so now I want us to look at the ways in which we can treat a cut. It is important to stop bleeding quickly, otherwise the person may lose a lot of blood. It is important to stop the bleeding. You know that when you see somebody bleeding, you stop that bleeding as quickly as possible. Again, you should know that only a minor cut can be treated at home. But a severe cut should be treated at the clinic or hospital. And the hands must be protected when treating a bleeding cut to avoid risk of infections such as HIV. I know that you know what do we use to protect our hands when we are treating the cut. But if you don't know, don't worry, my grade 4, I am going to tell you the materials that you will need when you are treating the cut. So now let us look at the materials for treating a cut. You have to have a surgical gloves, airtight plastics if you don't have surgical gloves. Again, you have to have a piece of cotton, wool or clean cloth if you don't have the cotton wool. Then you use disinfected warm water. When we talk of disinfected warm water, we are talking about water that has been sorry my dear Lena.
View at home, grade 3s and 4s, can we please take a quick infomercial? We'll be back after this infomercial.
The change in technology, out-of-home digital media is designed to grab the attention of people who are always on the go. You can now watch your favorite show, Usile Breakfast Show and Dinzaba at 7 on your favorite YouTube channel.
It's simple. You can stream these shows by following these quick, easy steps. Number 1, open YouTube. Number 2, search for Eswatini TV and click on Eswatini TV. Number 3, after you had entered on Eswatini TV, look for Dinzaba or KPS. And while you at it, don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell button to get notifications of our video uploads and streams. And lastly, enjoy the stream. Stay home and watch Eswatini TV. Stay safe.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu, buhle bethu tindzawo tethu, indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu, kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu, hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe, indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu, temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemicondvo kuyawuphumuta kugcinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe Brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe buhle bethu yimvelo yethu buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
Welcome back, grade 3s and 4s. This is the second subject and you are continuing with your practical arts lesson, with teacher Mavimbela. You may continue with your lesson.
Thank you. Welcome back, my dear grade 4. Now I want us to look at materials for treating a cut. You will need surgical gloves. If you don't have them, you may use airtight plastics, piece of cotton wool or clean cloth, then disinfected warm water. When we are talking about disinfected warm water, I mean a germ killer. You use a germ killer for treating the water, as we know that water has got germs. Then you'll need a dressing, which can be Vaseline, an ointment, which can be Vaseline. Plaster, if you don't have a plaster. Bandage, if you don't have a bandage, you can use a clean piece of cloth. So now we're going to look a video showing how can we treat a cut. So what you have to do, you have to put in gloves. You put them correctly, carefully put them. If you don't have gloves, you can use airtight plastics. Make sure that the plastics are airtight. After that, you put water, warm water. We use warm water. Make sure that the water is disinfected. So we can use a Savlon or we can use Dettol as our disinfector. There are also other solutions that you may use to kill the germs in the water. So you put some Dettol in the water to kill germs. After that, you take the person who has got the cut next to you. Then you take the cotton wool. If you don't have a cotton wool, you clean with a clean piece of cloth. Make sure that you clean the cut and the surrounding skin. You clean both the cut and the surrounding skin. After that, after you have finished cleaning the cut, make sure that the cut is clean. There are no traces of blood. And the surrounding skin is clean to kill germs that may be on the skin and inside the cut. Then you apply a clean dressing, which can be Vaseline. So you apply a clean dressing. If you don't know the word dressing, you can say an ointment. You can apply a clean ointment on the cut. Then you cover the cut with a bandage. If you don't have a bandage, you can use a plaster. Because you are at home, you can use a clean piece of cloth to cover the cut. You cover the cut. So after you have finished covering your cut, you then collect all the used things, and then you carefully remove the gloves. You carefully remove the gloves. After you have removed them, you then dispose them immediately. You dispose them immediately in a rubbish bin. So now I want you to do for me this work. We are going to do it together. You turn on page 5 of your workbooks. I want you to identify items that do not cause cuts. You identify items that do not cause cuts. I know that you are clever enough, my dear learner at home. You have already identified those items. So, the item that may cause cuts may be a stirring pin or a wooden pin. Plate, spoon is another item. Very good. Those are the items that do not cause cuts. And then now you are going to write for me the names of the items that can cause cuts in the spaces provided. In the spaces provided. I know that you are clever enough. You have already identified those items that may cause a cut, and you have already wrote them on the spaces in front of you. So I'm going to give you the answers. Knife is an item that can cause a cut. Sharp tin lid is another item. Pair of scissors is another item. Pen is another item. Razor blade is another item. That was good, my dear learner at home. Clap hands for yourself. Okay, so now I know that we have talked about how you can treat a cut. You now know that there is a severe cut and a minor cut. And you know that we only treat a minor cut at home, but a severe one must be treated at the clinic or hospital. And the fact that I've shown you how to treat a cut, you can now apply what I've demonstrated to you on how to treat a cut. And you should be careful when you are treating the cut that you have put on your gloves or airtight plastics. So we must be careful as we are at home. We must be careful when we are using sharp objects to avoid any cuts that may happen while using them. Again, we should make sure that we wash our hands. After we're finished treating the cut, we wash our hands for cleanliness with soap and running water. And we sanitize. If we don't have water next to you, you put in your sanitizer and sanitize your hands. Thank you, my dear Lena.
Thank you very much, ma'am. This was a very informative lesson. I'm hoping you're going to come again next time.
Thank you, Lerato.
Okay. Grade 5s and 6s, get closer to your screen because your teacher will be back after this infomercial.
Eswatini, your favorite show, is back. The Spotlight Season 2 returns with an exciting new twist. We are taking the kingdom's #1 music talent search digital. One lucky winner will drive away in a brand new Kia Picanto, get a recording deal, and walk away with fantastic prizes, including a trendy Huawei P40 Pro. This year, the application process has been made better, easier, and brighter. To apply, simply follow the application process on the Spotlight and MTN Eswatini social media platforms. And remember to download the Ayoba and Music Time apps on your mobile device to complete your registration into the Spotlight Season 2. Visit yellowhub.co.sz/the spotlight/apply. The audition dates are as follows. Manzini, 26 September to the 1st of October. Shiselweni, the 3rd to the 8th of October. Hoho, 10th to the 15th of October. Lubombo, 17th to the 22nd of October. Shine bright like the star that you are on the Spotlight Season 2.
HIV kanye namalale jefa.
Kubika Sibusiso Ngubane anamba ngwadube tatoma indaba kalavumisa.
Government of Eswatini TV ngilingithini khule nginamba ngwadube. Sithemba bani.
Welcome grade 5s and 6s. This is the 3rd lesson for today and you are learning science with teacher Khumalo. A very good afternoon, Mr. Sanel.
Afternoon, Lerato.
How are you today?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm alright. So today's topic is the classification of plants.
Yes.
What would you expect the grade 5s and 6s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
Okay. By the end of the lesson, I'm expecting my grade 5 to be able to classify plants into flowering plants and non-flowering plants. Number 2, to be able to identify the parts of a flower, and the last one, to describe the function of the parts of a flower.
Okay, without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
Okay, thank you, Lerato. Okay, greetings, my grade 5 at home. So I am Mr. Sanele Khumalo. I'm wishing you a very good afternoon. So today we are going to discuss non-flowering plants and non-flowering plants. So why do we need to learn about this lesson? So my learner, we all live in our environment where we have different plants. Some of the plants have flowers, whereas some others do not have flowers. So it is very important as people living among our environment to know about plants and to be able to classify as flowering and non-flowering plants. So my learner at home, we are going to have some new words that we are going to use as we continue with our discussion. So we are having reproduce, nectar, ovule, and bud. So we are going to discuss them as we continue with our discussion. So here is my picture, my dear learner at home. So this picture is having different types of plants. So these plants, they are different from each other. So the first one, we are having a cycad plant, a sunflower, a palm tree, fern, aloe, and guava tree. So these plants are different. If I may ask a question, how are the plants different? how are these plants different? So my learner at home, I may say that these plants, they are different from each other. Why? Some of the plants, they have flowers. Some of our plants, they have flowers. So for example, we are having sunflower. We are having sunflower plant. Aloe and guava tree. These plants, they have flowers. And the next one, others, they do not have the flowers. Other plants, they do not have flowers. So these plants that they do not have flowers, I may say that are cycad plant, palm tree, and fern. They do not have flowers. So let us continue, my dear learner at home. So if I can also ask another question, if you are asked to group these plants, which or what kind of group are you going to come out? I may say that these plants, they are grouped into two. We are having flowering plants and non-flowering plants. So we are saying these are the groups. These are the groups of plant. The two groups are flowering plants and non-flowering plants. So what are flowering plants, my learner at home? What are flowering plants? So flowering plants, we are saying these are plants that reproduce by producing flowers. Flowering plants, my learner at home, they reproduce by producing flowers. The word reproduce means how organisms make new individuals that are similar to their parents. When we are talking about organism, we refer to living things, since plants are living things. So these flowering plants, they reproduce by producing flowers. So these flowers are the ones where fruits are going to be developed. And inside the fruits, we find that there are seeds. These seeds, they may grow into a new plant which is similar to the parent. As we said, that reproduce is how organisms make new individuals. So for example, we are having sunflower here. This sunflower has got a flower. Number 2, we are having aloe. This is a flower for aloe. And the last one, we are having guava tree. These are flowers for a guava tree. So for example, in this guava tree, this flower will then develop into a fruit. Inside this fruit, we are going to have seeds. These seeds will then germinate into a new plant. And some other plants, they produce flowers, and after producing flowers, they go straight to seeds. For example, this sunflower, after the flower, it will then develop into a seeds. These seeds are the one who will germinate into a new plant. Number 2, what are non-flowering plants? What are non-flowering plants? Non-flowering plants are plants that do not produce flowers. These ones, they do not produce flowers, or they do not reproduce by producing flowers, which means they do not have flowers. Unlike in flowering plants, those ones, they reproduce by producing flowers, while this one, they do not reproduce by producing flowers. But these ones, they reproduce through spores. They reproduce through spores. So these spores, we can say that are cells which are capable of developing into a new plant. We say these are cells which are capable of developing into a new plants. Some others, plants which are non-flowering plants, they reproduce through seeds formed in cones. For example, we are having a pine tree. This pine tree doesn't reproduce through flowers, but there are seeds that are formed inside the cone. These are cones. The seeds are found inside the cones, are the ones that germinate or develop into a new plant. So another plant is moss. Moss reproduce through spores, and fern, they reproduce through spores. They are having cells in the plant which are capable of developing into a new plant. Moss is usually found in mountains or in the forest, or sometimes you may find moss next to a river banks. So it is usually green in color, and this moss is usually found also in the mountains and also in the forest. That's all about non-flowering plants. They reproduce they do not reproduce by producing flowers. So my learner at home, I am having a question here for you. We are going to do it together, this question. So the question says, study the picture and answer the following questions. So I am having 4 pictures there. Question 1 says, name the plants shown in the pictures. And number 2 says, classify the plants as flowering and non-flowering plants. So in the first question, you are studying the pictures there, and you are going to give names of the pictures you see. So the first one, that is A. That is what? My learner at home, it is fern. It is fern. Let me erase and write correctly. It is fern. The second one, which is B, it is a sunflower. C, that is pine tree. It's palm tree, not pine, but palm tree. So the last one is aloe. I hope you did correct, my learner at home. So number 2 says, classify the plants as flowering and non-flowering plants. So let's say we are having flowering plants this side, flowering plants. This side we are having non-flowering. So under flowering plants, so we are having some of the plants that have flowers there. So the first one is sunflower. The second one under flowering plants is aloe. These two, aloe and sunflower. Aloe and sunflower, they are flowering plants. While a fern and palm tree are non-flowering plants, which means they do not reproduce by producing flowers. I think my learner at home, you did find the correct answer. So let's continue with our lesson. So now we are going to talk about a flower or the flower. The flower, learner at home, it is very important. Flowers are products of flowering plants. Flowers are a product of a flowering plant, which means flowers are found in flowering plants. So in flowering plants, seeds developed from flowers, which means a flower then developed into a fruit. Inside the fruit we find seeds. These seeds will then germinate into a new plant, or a new plant grows from the seeds. So flowers have an important role in reproduction in flowering plants. So we can add that these flowers, or a flower, or the flower, is the reproductive part. It is the reproductive part of a flowering plant, which means in all flowering plants we are having, or we may find that there are flowers for reproduction. So now let us look at the parts of a flower, my learner at home. So this is my beautiful flower. So it is having parts. There are many parts you can see inside the flower. So we are going to start on our right hand side. We are going to start on our right hand side, my learner at home. So this part, we are saying it is the ender. It is the ender. And this greenish color part, we are saying it is the filament. The filament. So the ender and the filament, they form a stamen, which is the male part of a flower. This is a male part of a flower. They form a stamen. That is the ender and the filament. This is the filament and this is the ender. Now, on our left hand side, we are having this part. We are having this part, which we call it the stigma. We call this part the stigma. The second one, we call it the style. This part, the style. This part, we call it the style. And down there, this part, we call it the ovary. This part, we call it the ovary. And inside the ovary, this part, inside the ovary, this part, we are saying, we find that there are ovules or ovule. So these stigma, style and ovary, they form a pistil. They form a pistil, which is the female part of a flower. It is the female part of a flower. They form a pistil. This greenish part now, this greenish part, we call it the sepal. They are green like leaves. We call them sepals. So let us forget about this and this. We are going to talk about them in our next lesson. So my learner at home, these are parts of a flower. Now, let's move on and talk about the description of the parts of the flower, or the function of the parts of a flower. These parts, they are having their function. First of all, we are going to start about the ender and the filament. Their description: the ender and the filament form a structure which looks like a matchstick. I think my learner at home, we all use matches. So when you see the matchstick, this matchstick is the same as the ender and the filament. This part, we're talking now about this part. So this ender, the function of the ender, we are saying the ender produces pollen grains. The ender produces pollen grains. Pollen grains are male sex cells. They are being produced in the end. Then number 2, we are talking about the filament. The filament, this part, it supports the filament, this part, it supports the end, which means the end is being supported by the filament, this part. So the filament supports the end. Now, let's move on and talk about with other parts of a flower. So now, let's look at the stigma, style, and ovary. The stigma, style, and ovary. So this stigma, it receives pollen grains. The stigma, it receives pollen grains. The pollen grains, they are from the end. They are being received by the stigma. The style, this part. Now, we're talking about this part, which is the style. It supports the stigma. The style supports this stigma. And number 3, we're talking about the ovary. This ovary, this part now. This part, which is our ovary. It is where the ovary, it contains one or more ovules. It contains one or more ovules. As we said that inside the ovary, we are having these ovules. Ovules are found inside the ovary as small eggs. These are small eggs. They then develop into a new or into a seeds. Ovules, there are structures in the ovary from which seeds develops. So the stigma, it receives pollen grains. Style supports the stigma, while the ovary, it is where we find our ovules, which are small eggs. These eggs, they then develops into a seeds. So when we see the structure of a flower, the structure of the stigma, style, and ovary, its description, we may say that it looks like a flask. The stigma, style, and ovary form a flask-like structure. They form a flask-like structure. Now, let's talk about the petals. Let us talk about the petals, Mylena. So, this colored part, we call them petals. These colored part, these are petals. Petals, Mylena at home, petals are colored. They are colored. A leaf-like structure above the sepals. They often have a pleasant smell. So these petals that we are talking about, these petals or petal, they attract insects. They attract insects to the flower. So why do insects are being attracted by the petals? These insects, they are attracted because they suck nectar from the flower. So nectar, we are saying this nectar is a sweet smelling liquid found in a flower. So insects, they want this sweet smelling liquid. For example, bees, they make honey. They are being attracted by these petals of a flower. They are attracted by these petals. So, the last part, we are talking about petals. Petals. Oh, no, sorry, my learner at home. Petals, we are saying, are colored. They are colored, are the ones that attract insects, not sepals. But sepals is the one that we are talking about. Sepals are greenish in color. Petals are colored. They attract insect. These sepals are found at the top or at the tip of a stalk of a flower. They are green in color, as we see that they are green in color. So these petals, they protect the flower bud. They protect the flower bud. So which means the flower is being protected by these sepals. It's being protected by these sepals. So the flower bud, it is a young developing flower. It is a young developing flower. So this is the flower, which means these sepals, they protect the developing flower. So I hope you do understand, my learner at home. Now I am having a question for you that we are going to do at home. So the question says, study the diagram of a flower, since we are looking at the structure of a flower. After studying the structure of a flower, you are going to identify the parts A to G using the words petal, sepal, stigma, style, ovary, anther, and filament. So this is the flower we are going to label. B, what is the function of the stigma? C, what is the function of the anther? So let us label, my learner, now. A, it is what? This part, A. We are saying A is the petal. Petal. B are, no, my learner at home, these are B. These are sepals. Sepals. B are petal, which means we've labeled A and B. C, this part, we're saying it is the style. D, this part, it is our stigma. It is our stigma. E, this part, it is our anther. It is our anther. And F, it is our filament. Filament, this part, filament. And our G is our ovary. Our G is our ovary. This part is our ovary. So now, what is the function of the stigma? This part, which you call the stigma, this part. Function. We said that the function of the stigma is to receive pollen grains. Receives pollen grains. These pollen grains, they are from the anther. So the stigma receives pollen grains. What are the function of the anther? Or what is the function of the anther? This part, which is E. This part. So the anther produces pollen grains. The anther produces pollen grains. The anther produces pollen grains. The ant produces pollen grains. So my learner at home, I hope you did find the correct answers. Now, what did we learn about today? So today we talked about, or we learned about, the classification of plants. We said the plants are classified into 2 groups, which means we are having flowering plants. These flowering plants, they reproduce by the production of flowers. Number 2, we learned about non-flowering plants. These non-flowering plants are the ones that they do not reproduce by the reproduction of flowers. Non-flowering plants, they do not reproduce by the reproduction of flowers, but they reproduce through spores or seeds formed in their cones. The last part, we talked about the flower. We said the flower, it is the reproductive organ of all flowering plants. It is a reproductive organ or part of all flowering plants. Thank you very much, my learner at home. I hope you did enjoy our today's lesson. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khumalo. This was a very informative and amazing lesson. Let's hope when you come again, you're going to give us another lesson as informative as this one.
Thank you so much, Lerato.
Okay. If you're in Form 1, Form 2 or Form 4, get closer to your screens because Nogwazi will be back after this infomercial.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Your favorite music show is back. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send in your shout-outs. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
A very warm welcome back to our viewers and a very good afternoon if you have just joined us. This is Eswatini and you're still tuned in to Home Study. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini and right now we are doing literature for the Form 1s and the Form 2s with Thulisile Mota, who is already with me in the studio. Afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon, Nogaz, and how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you very much. I understand today we're doing introduction to prose.
Yes, of course, Nogaz.
What are you expecting your viewers at home or your learners to have learned by the end of the lesson?
I'm expecting that by the end of the lesson, they would have learned that what is prose and the elements which are there in prose.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Form 1s and Form 2s, I hope that you are ready for your lesson. And of course, a reminder that right now we are live on YouTube and on Facebook. If you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. You may please begin with your lesson.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nolwazi. Good day, learners at home, my Form 1 and Form 2 dear learners. Good day to you viewers. As Nolwazi has introduced and I've also introduced, today we're going to discuss about the introduction to prose. So before that, remember my dear learners, the previous lesson, it was lesson 1, we discussed about literature and the importance of literature. Also, we discussed about the different types of literature. Those are the 3 genres. And also, my dear learners, now because you know what literature is and the importance of literature, we are going to tackle on one of the genres, which is the prose. So today the aim of the lesson is that to assist learners to develop the skills and knowledge in prose. You'll be knowledgeable on prose. Lesson objectives. By the end of the lesson, you are expected to list the elements of prose. Describe the difference between prose and other genres. Know the difference between these 3 genres, which is prose, poetry, and also drama. My dear learner. My dear learner. Okay, my dear learner.
All right, may I please interrupt you there?
Okay, thank you very much, Nolwazi.
All right, viewers at home, may we please take a little bit of an infomercial break. We'll be right back after this.
Emaphoyisa nesive lolu hlelo lwakho loluchamuka khona embuthweni wembobe lolufundisa kabanti liphindze licwayise zona phela sive ngathi tindzaba tekuvikela bona kuqala.
Thokotela uhlelo lwakho emaphoyisa nesive kuso sikhathi lesisha njalo ngabo lesine ngensimbi yesihlanu sihambama khona la Eswatini TV.
Ever since I was a young girl, I always dreamed of playing golf. I swung and swung and swung until I realized my dream of becoming a professional golfer.
The season so far has belonged to Nobuhle Dlamini.
With a 5th ranking at the Sunshine Tour Order of Merit, a win in the Joburg Ladies Open and many other achievements under her name, Nobuhle Dlamini, the ladies golf champion, is part of the Supersport Let's Play family.
The hours I spent practicing my golf swing and being physically active ensured that I was mentally sharp for my school books and the golf course. Now more than ever, as we stay away from school and stay indoors, keeping fit and exercise has become critical to maintain a healthy mind and body. Remember to stay safe and play it safe. I'm Nobuhle Dlamini and I'm proud to be part of the Supersport Let's Play family.
Home Study, you are still tuned into the Form 1 and Form 2 lesson, which is Literature with Thulisile Motsa. You may please continue with your lesson.
Okay, thank you, Nogaz. My dear learner, let us proceed. There was just an interruption. So, introduction to prose. What is prose? This is one of the 3 genres of literature. We have a novel and a short story under prose. What do we mean when you say we have a novel and a short story? What is written there? This is a normal and everyday descriptive speech. What is written there, it's normal and an everyday descriptive speech. So that is what you call a novel because it is then written. So there are distinctive features. Those are characteristics between a novel and a short story. A novel, the novel has chapters. Whereas a short story has paragraphs, written in paragraphs. And a novel, it is more lengthier than a short story. And there are many characters. Then in a short story, there are few characters. Because in a short story, there are a lot of stories and they are combined together to make one book. Whereas a novel, it is just one book and there are chapters there. My dear learner, Form 1 and Form 2, there are elements of prose. What do we mean when we talk about or we speak about the elements of prose? The things that are there in the prose. We have the plot, number 1. This is a very, very important element. Why do we say it is an important element? Because this is where there is the progression of the story from the beginning to the middle until the end. And while the story develops, there is a chain and order of events or incidents to develop the story. There are actions there. There is an activity. My dear learner, it also includes the characters' actions. How the characters behave, the way they speak, everything, the actions there. And it makes the plot, especially in the beginning, to be live. Then you are interested to read more. My dear learner, how do we say that a novel here now, this is a novel, we are being introduced to the main character. Normally it is in the first chapter. It just tells you that the character there, because it is a novel, always it is in the first chapter. Then with the short story, you will see it in the first paragraph. That is the opening. My dear learner, when you are reading a story, the novel, the prose, or maybe it is a short story, I've spoken about the opening. That is the setting where the story begins. There is the main character. So then the story develops. Once the story develops, this we call the rising action. Rising action. The development of the story develops. You get to learn more about characters. You get to know more about events. The events are unfolding there. There are a lot of events. And as you're reading, you're asking yourself some questions. What is going to happen? I am wondering. Then you reach the climax. The story there is very, very interesting because you need answers. Then the answers are there afterwards. There is a falling action. When you reach the climax, it is where all those problems, the conflicts, the challenges will be solved. The story slows down. Then, when the story has slowed down, we have the ending, the closing. So the closing there, that is the last chapter in a novel. And in a story, it is the last paragraph. And already you have a message. You know what the story is about. Remember, my dear learner, there are writers who write these novels and short stories. A novel is written by a novelist or an author, whereas a short story is written by an author. Okay, my dear learners, I hope you are following my Form 1 and Form 2. For example, just give a brief example. The plot summary using the novel Tale of Tamari. I know, my dear learners, in Form 1, because literature is a new subject, there are books teachers use there so that you are able to identify yourself with the subject literature. One of them is Tale of Tamari, the novel. We have others, the pace setters, also the reading matters, which comprises of all the 3 genres. There's a drama, there's a novel, there's poetry. So in chapter 1 of Tale of Tamari, first line, late again Tamari, Miss Titima brushed chalk dust off a blouse as she leaned over to open the door. We are introduced to the main character, the Tamari. That is the introduction, the opening. So already you have an idea what the story is going to be about. It is going to be about Tamari, because even the title, it is Tale of Tamari, is entitled Tale of Tamari. So everything there, it evolves around Tamari, the main character. We've mentioned about the introduction, that is the main character. Then the story development, the events in the middle. The story Tale of Tamari, there are events there. Those events, they are not good events, especially to Tamari, because she is a double orphan child with her brother Koda. Mkomamandla tries to rape Tamari. Uncle Bada is not a good man. He is a relative to Tamari and Kuda. He's supposed to take care of them. But what is he doing? He is always there to come and collect money. He is thinking about himself, not about these children. So this is not a good story at all. Why? Because there is fate. What Tamari and Kuda are experiencing, it is not by choice. My dear Lena, then Uncle Panda is arrested. That is where the climax is. And as readers, we are happy that now he's arrested. Finally, Tamari and Kuda are rescued from such a terrible and a problematic situation. Now they'll be free from all that. As readers, we get to be happy about it. So, and we have a feeling of relief. We are relieved. Let us continue, my dear learners. Element number 2, we have characters, characterization. What are characters? The people or animals in this story. In a story, there are supposed to be characters and characters, people, or maybe animals. There is no story which cannot have a character. It wouldn't be a story if it doesn't have a character. Why? Because they decide the cause, the main idea of the story. So they are very, very, very important, my dear learners. We have the main character. Characters, there are types of characters. The main character, we call the character a protagonist. Then we have a minor character. That one is an antagonist. Why do you say the main character is a protagonist? Because the main character, all the attention is focused on him or her. Everything which is said there in the story, the happenings, the actions, evolves around the main character. My dear Lena, the minor character, those are the characters which are less important. But they drive the story. Their actions drive the story forward. The story cannot go forward. There cannot be a development if there are no minor characters. Example for the minor characters, we have Kuda, Tamari's brother, Mkomamandla, Sismapho, Samdarazuza. All those are lodgers. They are renting at Tamari's house, the rooms there. Then we have Linda, the friend, Auntie Loveness, their relative, Miss Titima, the teacher, and Mrs. Shava, the head teacher. Because Miss Titima is the class teacher. But all those are minor characters. They are supporting these other, the events of the story. My dear Lena, then we have the setting. Oh, this is the opening, the introduction, when the story starts. This is the opening of the story, the occurrence. What is happening there? It is guiding us. It is driving us to know what actually is going to happen in the development of the story. That is the occurrence. It can be time. That is the period. When? We ask ourselves that question. When? What time of the day? It might be a year. It might be a season. It might be an hour, etc. Where? Those questions. The place, the buildings, etc. Ask questions. So with Tamari, the first line, the first chapter, she is rushing to class. When Mrs. Titima is asking Tamari, why are you late again? The classroom is grade 7A. She enters the classroom. There is a desk there. They shocked us. And she's taking out her maths book to learn maths. So it's obvious that Miss Titima is a subject teacher for maths. So this is a school setting, the opening. So already now we know that what we're going to learn, there's going to be a lot of activity in the school. Time of the day, it is the morning. Why? Because obviously Tamari hitching a bag from his shoulders. He was carrying a bag. Why? Because there are books there. And it is in the morning because you cannot go to school in the afternoon or in the evening. So that is why you can see that the setting there is the morning. And this is a social setting. There are different kinds of settings, but we are going to speak about those later on. The geographical setting, it is another one, because there we have the location. The physical setting, it is really physical. So here it is the social, because the society Tamari lives in, there are a lot of people there. There are scholars, the learners. There's Uncle Panda. There are all those, the lodgers. The activity there, it is socially, it's in a society. So the setting, my dear Lena, is a major effect of the story. It is very, very important. All these other elements of prose, they are going to be guided by the setting. My dear Lena, we have a point of view. Number 4, there is another element. Who is telling the story? The angle. Who is actually telling the story? We know that who is telling the story, those are the narrators. But there are various kinds of narrators. The writer uses the first, second, and third. These are dominant pronouns. In English literature, in English language, we know about pronouns. I'm speaking right now. You are there as a learner, you are listening. We, me and you. So the narrator, the storyteller, is at another point. It is like he's at another point, but he's the first person. He's actually speaking. We call that a first person point of view. The narrator is a character, is a part. He is involved or she is involved in the character, in the story himself or herself. He himself, he tells about the events. He interacts with the other characters. There is a relationship from the beginning up to the end. There is interaction. He actually speaks. He is telling us what is happening. So readers, they always get more attachment with the narrator because he is within the story. They feel like he is their friend. He is part of them. They love, they admire the narrator here on the point of view, the first person point of view. Why? Because she is or he is within them. Then we have just a brief example from Reading Matters. This is another book, which is non-examinable, an introduction to Form 1. I am standing at the turn of Gift Mlungu. We're waiting for the bus to his village. It's a long way up the country. We. The use of I and we, it clearly shows us that this is the first person. That the storyteller here is the first person. The writer here, it is the first person using I and we. Why? Because he is standing there. They are waiting for gift. I hope you've understood, my dear learner, the point of view. And there's also another one, is the second point of view. You. But we will not use you because it is rarely used by authors. Let us proceed to the third person point of view. He, she, it. The narrator here, my dear learner, is not a character. He's not a character, but knows what is happening. Everything. He has an interest whilst observing at a distance. It is just like he is hiding somewhere there. But it gets into the mind of the character. He has a lot of time, he has freedom to comment about that particular character. That is the third person. My dear learner, then number 5 of the theme. The theme, the main idea, what the story is about. When writers or authors, they write stories, they want to give us a main idea what the story is about. And why are we supposed to have a main idea? Because the message is conveyed by the writer. This is the central idea. The overall meaning and purpose of the story of the book. We get to know the moral of the story. It is teaching us something about the story. Why? Because of the characters involved there. Because of the actions of the characters. Because of the events, the happenings there. They give us the theme. How do they give us the theme? The way they behave, the way they interact to each other, their relationship to each other, even the change in their characters as the story develops. So that is the theme. After you've read the story, you are going to have a main idea what actually the author wanted to tell or talk about. My dear learner, this is what you should understand. That a good narrative, a story, which is very good, normally it has a multiple of themes. Like the tale of Tamari. There is abuse, there is poverty, there is fate. There are many kinds of themes. It might be tragedy, comedy, love, etc. But with the tale of Tamari, there is abuse, poverty, fate. Why? Because Tamari and Kuda are very poor. They don't even have a family. Tamari is a child-headed. They're a child-headed family. She is a mother, she's a father to Kuda. She's supposed to be responsible for everything towards Kuda. So already in the beginning, you could tell when Tamari came late to school that there are problems with Tamari. And obviously the theme is guiding us because Uncle Panda is abusing these children. How to identify a theme? There is this way to identify a theme. You always ask yourself questions because there are problems, there are obstacles, there are issues, there are conflicts, there are disagreements within the characters, there are challenges. So in order for you to know and get the meaning or find the theme whilst you are reading, these conflicts that the characters are facing as they are moving through the plot, they are facing a lot of conflicts. They are in disagreement. The way they relate to each other, their behaviors, they will actually give you the theme. So just look at the character. Ask questions. What is going on? How do they interact with others? This will lead you to identify the theme. In literature, remember, my dear learner, you are expected to be a critical thinker. You are always asking questions. You are always probing. You want to know more. So that will lead you to the theme. My dear learner, we have the last element, that is the mood. The emotions, the feelings, the atmosphere created by the writer. When the writer writes a story, he is creating a certain atmosphere. Then the story, it develops. Through the development, there is a setting. The feelings are evoked. The atmosphere, how do you feel about that event? What is your feeling? Even about the character and so on. So authors, they also use language word choice. The punctuation marks, you see there, the phrases, the sentences, everything, even those words you think they are difficult, you are trying to find new meanings through the dictionary. Those words, they emphasize about that character or about that event happening, about everything happening in the story. Feeling towards what is happening, the events, the character's behavior. You might feel excited, happy, guilty, angry, sad, worried. Then it leads to the suspense. Remember, we spoke about the suspense, that whilst you are reading in the development of the story, the rising action, the story is getting to be more nice. It is interesting. You don't want to finish reading. You want to finish reading the story so that you know the end result. Then the answers are there. The suspense has been revealed. The writer uses the words to show the mood. There's an effect. When he uses certain words, you are going to have, there's an effect there. You understand more about the effect. My dear learner, Uncle Panda, I want to give you an example about Uncle Panda. He was very, very angry when he reached Tamari's place. He was grumpy, but they did not do anything to him. And he said in a grave voice to Tamari, to Kuda, "Where is Tamari?" And Kuda was very scared, because you can see that Uncle Panda was in a bad space. The word grave, it actually gives you a meaning about the mood there. Uncle Panda is in a bad space. Whereas on the other hand, Kuda is just a normal boy. He has not done anything wrong to Uncle Panda. So the mood there, that turns the emotions. Kuda is shivering. He's wondering, what have I done wrong? And Uncle Panda is very angry. The way he speaks to Kuda, it's like Kuda has done something wrong. So that is why, my dear learner, after this mood, now you know about feelings. Whenever you read a book, there are feelings. Because even, my dear learner, the assessment objectives we spoke about in the last lesson, it says you go deeper. Assessment number 4. Deeper. You go down. You probe about the certain character. Then you're going to feel, you can see the way the character behaves. The mood, the events that are happening there, they are tense, or they are lightly, or they are lively, and so on. So that is the mood of we're speaking about now. We're talking about now. My dear learner, there is an activity here. I hope you've understood. State the elements of prose and explain 2 of them using the paragraph. Reveal Uncle Panda's character, the personality. Because we said the personality for about someone, the way he speaks, the way other characters speak about him, the way the narrator speaks about him, his actions, it brings up the personality. So you are going to read that paragraph and then gives us, write down, my dear learner. I know you have started writing now. You have understood what a personality is. Because even right now, I was teaching you. I hope you've understood, my dear learner. And you know about my personality right now as I've been speaking. Because the words as I was speaking, you could tell what personality is that? What kind of a personality? What kind of a person she is? The way she speaks, the way she addresses herself, the way she explains, the way she describes. So the personality is anything, even just the physical appearance of a character. It emphasizes, it leads you to the personality. We don't just read in literature just for fun. We don't do that. Because these questions you are going to answer. You're going to write an exam at the end of the year. We spoke about those 4 skills, that they are guiding you so that you respond to the literature questions the appropriate way so that you score high marks. So that is why it is very, very important that when you respond to this question, there is no question which you say, who is Uncle Banda? Who is Tamaru Skoda? No, you need to have to do an application. You apply after probing. My dear Lena, I know that you've listened and you've understood about the elements of prose. You know that now that the prose is one of the genres, and I hope you are very happy, my admirable and loving learners at home, Form 1 and Form 2. Now you know exactly that at school, my Form 2 learners, there is a prose, the Mending Season. Africa Kills the Sun, there is a short story. Mending Season is a novel. The Pearl is a novel. Next lesson, we're going to speak about that. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, my dear learners.
Thank you so much, Thulisile, for your lesson. It was really, really amazing. I really enjoyed it myself. We're hoping the Form 1s and the Form 2s enjoyed their lesson too, and we'll be seeing you soon, I'm sure. Okay,
thank you very much, Nogwazi. And the next lesson will be the introduction to drama.
All right. Okay.
Another genre.
All right. That should be very, very interesting, I'm sure.
It will.
Thank you so much. Form 4s, please get closer to your screens. Up next is Biology with Thembisile Hlatshwayo. We'll be right back after this.
Better Health, Better Life. It's another season on your favorite program, Better Health, Better Life, here on Eswatini TV.
Ayinibingelele kunemukele babukele emakhaya kulolu hlelo i-Better Health, Better Life. Lona thulula hlelo ngunokuphila masangana.
It's all about our health, our better health today, and our better life tomorrow. In the midst of this global pandemic coronavirus, Better Health, Better Life brings you closer to your health professionals.
Ifake emlonyeni wakhe. Nangabe nje ngidla into legcwele amafutha, lento ngidla.
So siyakhuthaza ukuthi lala abahlala nalala banashukela abafunde nabo ngaloshukela.
Watch out for another fresh season of Better Health, Better Life on Eswatini TV. It's getting bigger and better every season. This season with COVID-19 is a must to watch for everyone in every home. Better Health, Better Life, your gateway to a healthy living.
Usiseka, uvuseleleke, wakheke emoyeni ngomculo wetenkolo bahlabeleli balapha eSwatini. Sikulethela abahlabeleli abadala nabo lapha sekhula emculweni wetenkolo bahlabela bukhoma lapha eSwatini. Siphinde sixoxisane kabanti ngalaba kwentako emsebentini wabo wekuhlabelela igospel konke kungidinisa simakathe. Ungaphuthelwa ngomculo wegospel khona lapha eSwatini TV.
A very warm welcome back and a very good afternoon if you are in Form 4, because this is your time, of course, which is biology with Thembisile Hlatshwayo right now, who is already with me in the studio. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm great, and you, Nogwazi?
I'm doing good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What are we learning about exactly in biology today?
Okay, today in biology we are learning about the cell structure and organization. So we'll strictly look at the cell structure and function.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What are you expecting your Form 4 learners to have learned by the end of the lesson?
Okay, I expect them to be able to identify and describe the structure of a plant cell, an animal cell. Also, to state the functions of the parts of a cell, relate the structures of the cell membrane, chloroplast, and mitochondrion to their functions. Lastly, describe the differences in structures between a typical plant cell and animal cell.
All right. Thank you so much, Tembisile, for that. Form 4s, I hope that you are ready for your biology lesson. And a reminder, of course, that we are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. If you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. Tembisile, you may please begin with your lesson.
Okay, thank you. I hope you guys are ready at home. You have got a textbook, you have got an exercise book, as well as your pen. Okay, having learned about the classification of living organisms, we have classified living organisms into different kingdoms, into different phyla, and into different classes. But then the question is, what are these living organisms made of? Okay? You have also learned about the 7 characteristics of living organisms, which include movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. But then the question is, how are these living organisms able to carry out these different characteristics? So the answer is because they have got cells. Okay, we have also learned that some organisms are multicellular and others are single-celled. So then what does this really mean? Okay, let the science carry us through. Okay, so first we are going to define a cell. So a cell is defined as a building block of an organism or a basic unit of life. Look at yourself. You are a whole organism. So this means that if we say a cell is a building block, so this means that you are made of cells. Okay. And then some organisms are made of just one cell. For example, they're the ones that are found in the kingdom Prokaryote. And also others are, okay, these ones are said to be unicellular. Unicellular simply means one cell. And then others, we said they are made of many cells. So, and they are referred to as multicellular organism. So this includes you and me. Okay, now that we have defined what a cell is, let us look straight to the structure of a plant cell. Remember, we talked about kingdom Plantae, which consists of plants. We also talked about kingdom Animalia, which consists of animals. So we'll start with a plant cell. So I have a diagram here with me which shows the structure of a plant cell as seen on a light microscope. So we can see we have got the cell wall, we have the chloroplast, we have the cell membrane, we have the cell vacuole, we have the cytoplasm, and we have the nucleus. Okay. And then there are other parts which we cannot see them when using a light microscope. But then we can see them when using an electron microscope. Let us go through this diagram here of a plant cell as seen under an electron microscope. So as you can see now, we have got so many parts which we did not mention in the previous diagram. So these include the Golgi body or apparatus. Also, now we have got nuclear pore, we have got the mitochondrion, we have got the endoplasmic reticulum, which is abbreviated as capital letter ER. And then also we have got ribosomes, which we didn't see on the previous diagram. We also have the nucleolus, which we didn't see also. Okay, now that we have seen the structure of a plant cell, let us move on to the structure of an animal cell. So also with an animal cell, when you look it or you view it under a light microscope, so these are the parts that we see. We have got the cytoplasm, we have the nucleus, we have the cell membrane, we have the mitochondrion. Okay, and then other parts which are seen when viewing an animal cell under an electron microscope. Remember, now we have got some centrosomes, the Golgi body, the ribosomes, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, we have got the mitochondrion, we have the lysosome, we have the nuclear membrane, the nucleolus. So all these parts we didn't see in the previous diagram. Okay, then now that we have looked at the diagrams that shows us the structure of both animal and plant cell, let us compare these two. We have got two cells here. This one has been taken from an animal and this one has been taken from a plant. So when we compare these two types of cells, we can see that we have got some parts which we find in both cells. So this includes the cytoplasm, also the cell membrane. We also have the cell nucleus. We have got the vacuole, but with the vacuole, please bear it in mind that in an animal cell, the vacuole is very small and it is temporal. And then when you compare it with the vacuole in a plant cell, the vacuole in a plant cell, it is large and permanent. And then also we have got the mitochondrion, which is found in both cells. And then we have got the two structural differences between a plant cell and an animal cell, which are the cell wall. So we can see that only the plant cell has got a cell wall, and then we don't have a cell wall in the animal cell. And then also we have got the chloroplast. The chloroplast is only found in a plant cell, but not in an animal cell. Okay, and then let us move on now and look at the functions of the parts of the cells. We will start with the cell wall. Okay, remember, we said the cell wall is only found in plant cell. What is the function of the cell wall? What makes the cell wall? Okay, the cell wall is made of a fibrous substance called cellulose. That is why you will find other books, when they label the cell wall, they will say cellulose cell wall. So in the cell wall, we have got the cellulose. So its main function is to protect and support the plant cell. It protects and supports the plant cell. Also, a cell wall is rigid. A cell wall is rigid. So what do we mean by that? It gives the plant cell a specific shape, which we have seen in the diagram. For a plant cell, we have got a shape. You can see this shape. This is the specific shape we are talking about. Okay, and then we move on. Oh, also the cell wall is permeable. What do we mean by permeable? Which simply means that it can easily allow substances to pass through it. It easily allows substances to pass through it. Okay, now that we have looked at the cell wall, we have seen that the cell wall is made of cellulose. Now we know the function of the cell wall. Let us move on to the cell or plasma membrane. plasma membrane, remember, it is found in both cells. So this one controls the movement of substances in and out of the cell, in and out of the cell. So this means that whatsoever goes into the cell or goes out of the cell is controlled by the cell or plasma membrane. Okay, so this plasma membrane is partially permeable or semi-permeable. What do we mean by that? It only allows some substances to pass through, but not others. No, not everything will enter or leave the cell. So it's the duty of the cell membrane to do that, so that it allows some of them, but not others. Okay, now let us go through the structure of the cell membrane. So the structure is simply described by the fluid mosaic model. So what do we mean by that? Okay, going deep to the structure. The cell membrane is made up of a phospholipid bilayer. This phospholipid bilayer has got cholesterol, which gives the membrane flexibility. Remember, if something has to go through, that means the cell membrane has to be flexible. Then also, we have got various protein molecules within the cell membrane. So these various protein molecules, they help in the transport. They help in the transport, as it is written here. They are involved in the transport of substances in and out of the cell. Okay, then together, the phospholipid, the proteins, the carbohydrate chains, and cholesterol make up the changeable and flexible pattern of the cell membrane. Okay, so by the word fluid, the fluid component of the model simply refers to how some parts of the cell membrane can move around. And then also the mosaic component of the model, this one, indicates the appearance of the proteins in the phospholipid bilayer. Remember, we said in the cell membrane we have got the phospholipid bilayer, which has got cholesterol. We also talked about proteins, which are also found in the cell membrane. Okay, and then moving on to the other part, which is the cytoplasm. Remember, it is found in both plant and animal cell. So this one contains dissolved nutrients and mineral salts, which are needed for the cell to function. So the cell to function needs these nutrients and mineral salts. So they are found in the cytoplasm. Also in the cytoplasm, we have got enzymes. It contains enzymes which regulate all the metabolic reactions occurring in the cell. So when we talk about metabolic reaction, we talk about the chemical processes that are taking place in the body. I will make an example of respiration. Respiration is an example of a metabolic reaction. Okay, also in the cytoplasm, it is where these chemical reactions take place. Also, when we describe the structure of the cytoplasm, it's a clear jelly-like and partly liquid substance where cell organelles are suspended. There comes the word organelles. What are they? These are the parts of a cell which they are found within the cell. I will make an example of an organelle. The nucleus is one example of an organelle. We have got the ribosomes, we have got the mitochondrion. You can name a few. Okay, then moving on to the nucleus. Remember, the nucleus is found in both cells. Okay, so the function of the nucleus, it contains chromosomes. It contains chromosomes, so it carries the hereditary characteristics of the cell. So what do we mean by that? By the word hereditary characteristics. So this means that everything about yourself is contained in the nucleus. So in the nucleus, we have got what is called DNA. So this is what we are talking about here. The DNA, you found it in the nucleus. Okay, also the nucleus controls all activities of a cell. So for example, we have got protein synthesis. Also we have got cell division. You can name a few. So these are the activities. So when you talk about protein synthesis, we simply mean the building or synthesizing proteins. We are making proteins. Okay, and then moving on now to the mitochondria. Remember, the mitochondria is found in both plant and animal cell. So this one, structure-wise, it is a rod-shaped organelles. Rod-shaped organelles. They are referred to as powerhouses. Powerhouses of the cell. So you can think of the word power. For you to have power, you must have energy. Yes, so this simply means that this is the site for aerobic respiration, which provide the cell with energy. Remember, we said they are referred to as powerhouses. So it is where aerobic respiration take place, so that the energy can be provided for the cell to continue carrying out different activities. Okay, then with aerobic respiration, you will learn that in aerobic respiration, glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen to provide us with energy. Carbon dioxide is a waste product, and also water vapor. So all that happens in the mitochondria. And then we move on to the chloroplast. Remember, the chloroplast, we only have it in a plant cell. So it contains the chlorophyll. What is chlorophyll? In the junior level, we used to say this is the green pigment found in plants. So the function of the chlorophyll in the chloroplast is to capture light energy from the sun. So why plants need light? Yes, they need light for photosynthesis. Yes, so this simply means that the chloroplast is the site for photosynthesis. Okay, then the chloroplast uses this energy to manufacture glucose from carbon dioxide and water. Remember the process of photosynthesis when we described it? It's just a simple process whereby the plants manufacture glucose from carbon dioxide and water in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight. Okay, so then we move on to the vacuole. The vacuole is just a space filled with cell sap. What is this cell sap? It's simply a fluid consisting of water and dissolved nutrients and mineral salts. Okay, when the vacuole is full of cell sap, remember cell sap, we simply mean a fluid which consists of water, dissolved nutrients, mineral salts. So when it is full, it pushes the cytoplasm outwards against the cell wall. So this makes the cell firm or turgid. So the turgidity in the cell provides support to the plant. So yeah, that is the function of the vacuole. So it means that for the plant to be supported, for the plant cell to be turgid, its vacuole has to be full. It has to be full of water, dissolved nutrients, and mineral salts. Okay, and then we move on to the ribosomes. Ribosomes, this is a site for protein synthesis and assembly. So the proteins which are being synthesized in the ribosomes, they may be enzymes or they may be proteins that are used for for growth. Remember, we mentioned growth as one of the characteristics of living organisms. So for you to be able to grow, this means that the ribosomes has to synthesize the proteins for growth. Also with enzymes, we know, I will make an example of digestion. We know digestion of food, it cannot happen in the absence of enzymes. So these enzymes, now you know, they are made in the ribosomes. Okay, now that we have looked at the plant cell and an animal cell, we have also looked at the parts as well as their functions. Let us look at the diagram below. I want you to study it carefully. We have got two diagrams, cell C and cell D, and then the questions will follow. Okay, the first question says, state the organism where both cells were taken. State the organism where both cells were taken. These are the cells. Take a look. Look at the cells. You study them. Cell C, cell D. Okay, I hope you have got it. Yes, let us check if we have got it correct. Cell C. Where is cell C taken? Look again. Yes, correct. It is taken from a plant. It is taken from a plant. And then we move on to cell D. Cell D, where is it taken? Very good. From an animal. Okay. And then number 2 says, state the two structural differences between the cells. The two structural differences between the cells. Look at the cells again. Study them. Look at the two structural differences. Okay, I hope you have got it. Let us check. Okay, first, we'll start with cell C. Cell C, let us check. Cell C has a chloroplast. Very good. Has a chloroplast. Cell C has a chloroplast, while cell D doesn't have a chloroplast. Okay. Also, cell C has got what? Has a cell wall. Correct. It has got a cell wall, while cell D doesn't have a cell wall. Okay. Let us move on to the last question. Label the site for photosynthesis F. Label the site for photosynthesis F. Okay, let us move back to the diagrams. Here are the diagrams. So, what is the site for photosynthesis? Okay, I hope you have got it. Let us check. This is the site for photosynthesis. They said we must label it F. Okay, can you remember? What do we call the part where photosynthesis occurs in a cell? Very good. We call it a chloroplast. Okay. And then in summary, so we have learned about the structure of a plant and animal cell. We have also compared a plant cell and an animal cell. We talked about the cell parts and their functions. And then we talked about the cell part structures in relation to their functions. And then food for thought. You are a whole organism. You have got different body parts which carry out different functions. How are your cells organized? You will find out in the next lesson. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Thembisile. What a way to end your lesson. It was really, really lovely. Thank you so much, and we're hoping we'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Form 4s, please do not go anywhere. Up next is your chemistry lesson with Mr. Pentecost Lamini. We'll be right back after this.
ukucedza i-HIV kanye namalalejeva.
Kubika Sibusiso Ngubane anamba ngwadube tatoma indaba kalavumisa.
Government of Eswatini TV LinkedIn kule namba ngwadube. Stemba bye.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen, so that's what we have for you, but we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money Pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Welcome back to Home Study to our viewers, and a very good afternoon to the Form 4s who have just joined us. We are doing chemistry right now with Pentecost Dlamini, who is already with me in the studio. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. How are you doing today, Pentecost?
I'm fine, Nogwazi. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much. Today, chemistry will be doing separation techniques.
Yes, separating techniques. Yes.
Okay. What are you expecting your Form 4s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
At the end of the lesson, learners at home, you should be able to describe methods of purification by use of distillation, both simple and fractional, a separating funnel, as well as sublimation.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope the Form 4s know what you're talking about, because I have no clue what you're talking about, but I'm looking forward to your lesson. Form 4s, I hope that you are ready. Of course, another reminder that we are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. Please feel free to use our WhatsApp number for any questions that you might have. Pentecost, you may please begin with your lesson.
Thank you, Wazi. Learners at home, as we are talking about separation techniques today, I have got a practical application of this method, which is spirits like vodka are produced from alcoholic beverages using distillation in brewing industries. Again, fuels such as petrol, hand gas, and diesel are produced from crude oil through fractional distillation. So today's lesson is an imperative lesson, as it has a practical application as stated in the above examples. Before we go further with our lesson, let us explain a few terms which we are going to be using in the whole of this lesson. We have a distillate. A distillate can be described or defined as a condensed vapor collected during the process of distillation. We also have what we call the sublimate, which is a vapor collected during sublimation. It changes from solid to gas and gas to solid, hence the vice versa there. We also have immiscible liquids. We define immiscible liquids as liquids that cannot mix. And we also have a residue, which can be defined as a substance remaining in the boiling flask after distillation. Let us briefly get into a simple distillation, dear learner. This technique is based on the differences in boiling points of the liquids. This technique again is used to separate liquid substance from a solution or a mixture of two different liquids. The liquid that boils first and is collected after being condensed in the condenser is called the distillate. So the liquid collected after being condensed in the condenser is called the distillate, and then the substance remaining in the boiling flask after distillation of a solution is called the residue. Now let us look at a quick diagram on illustrating the setup, how we set up for distillation. You can see, dear learners, there is my distillation flask there. Distillation flask, it is written. We also have our heat, our Bunsen burner, which gives us our heat. We also have a thermometer. A thermometer, I'll just put it like that, TEL. And we have our Liebig condenser, as well as our receiving flask. Dear learner, before we dwell much on this one, can we have a short video illustrating the separation of a salt solution into water and salt? As you can see, I have my salt there. Yes, my salt. I also have my water in a beaker. And then I'm going to mix to make a solution of salt, a salt solution, by adding my salt in the beaker, in the water in the beaker, and then stirring until all of it dissolves. Yes, I'm adding my salt, dear Lena. Yes. Now I have to stir my salt using my stirring rod. My salt using my stirring rod, salt and water to make the solution. And thereafter I'll take the solution into the distillation flask. I'm pouring it there. Yes, and then I have to apply my heat. I'm going to light up my heat source there, which is my, yes, I'm opening it, I'm lighting it up, and then I'm going to put it under, put my wire gas on top, and then put it under the distillation flask. Now I'm putting my thermometer. And then now you can see the flow of water, cold water, is from the bottom of the condenser, and water outlet is at the top of the condenser. There's a reason why. We're going to look at that as we continue. As you can see, dear Lena, my salt solution has started boiling, and then we're going to see our distillate very soon. After boiling, the vapor is going to go into the condenser and condense, so that we can see droplets coming off. We can see droplets coming down the condenser, which means our distillate is being collected, learners at home. Yes, we're still collecting our distillate. Yes, after that, dear Lena, we are going to switch off our heat source, and then we have our distillate, which is water, and inside the distillation flask is our residue, which is salt. Thank you. After that, dear Lena, let us look at in detail about fractional distillation. Fractional distillation is described as a process used to separate a mixture of two or more liquids with different boiling points. So fractional distillation separates two or more liquids with different boiling points. And then again, the components of the mixture, also called the fractions, are collected at different temperatures at which they boil using a fractionating column. So they are collected at different temperatures. Also, the fractionating column is packed with glass beads. So our fractionating column is packed with glass beads to give what? A large surface area for evaporation and condensation. Again, as the mixture is heated during fractional distillation, the liquid with the lowest boiling point evaporates first and is condensed in the Liebig condenser and collected in the beaker as the first fraction. It is then followed by the fraction with the second lowest boiling point, which is collected in a new beaker. Example, we have a fractional distillation of crude oil. Let us look at a diagram, dear Lena, illustrating how fractional distillation apparatus are set. We have our round bottom flask there, and we have our fractionating column. So that's the difference between simple distillation and fractional distillation. It is the introduction of a fractionating column, which we said is made of glass beads. Okay. We also have the condenser, as we saw in simple distillation, and the thermometer. We can see that. Can we carry on, dear Lena? Another separation technique that we have to look at today is separation using a separating funnel. A separating funnel is used to separate immiscible liquids. Example of such is a mixture of water and petrol. We call such immiscible liquids because these liquids cannot mix. These liquids have different densities, and as a result, the petrol will float on the water, meaning water is more denser than petrol. A separating funnel has a tap which is used to separate the layers. The more dense liquid is collected first. So it has a tap which is used to separate the layers, and then the more dense liquid is collected first. You can then collect the second denser liquid into another container. Let us look at a diagram, dear Lena, illustrating how a separating funnel is used. As you can see there, we have a separating funnel with two immiscible liquids, one in green and the other in blue. So we can see the green one here has a high density compared to the blue liquid, the blue one. So collecting will allow us to collect the green liquid first in the collecting flask or beaker, and then we can also collect the blue one later. Let us look at a short video illustrating, dear Lena, how we use a separating funnel to separate a mixture of paraffin and water. As you can see, I have my water there. I also have my paraffin in a beaker. Yes, it's clean. And then I am going to mix the two in that beaker, the bigger beaker. I'm putting water first, and then I'm going to pour paraffin on top of the water. Again, I'm going to stir using my stirring rod to try and mix them to see if they can be mixed together. Yes, I'm stirring hard. Yes, as you can see, learners, the two cannot mix. Therefore, I'm going to pour them inside my separating funnel. After that, learners at home, as you can see, the two layers are there. We have the layer of paraffin on top and the layer of water at the bottom. Then I'm going to collect first water because it is a bit more denser than paraffin. So it is going to be the first one to collect in my beaker. I open my tap nicely, and then there my water is collected in my beaker. Yes, I'm going to collect until all of it goes in there. Yes, as soon as the paraffin approaches the tap, I switch off. I turn off my tap. And now I am left with my paraffin in the separating funnel. So paraffin now is left in the separating funnel. It has to be collected using the beaker that has to collect our paraffin. So I'm putting my beaker there. I'm opening again the tap to let all of the paraffin go into that beaker. Yes. Yes, all of the paraffin is collected now. We have seen how to separate, and after that I close my tap again. We have seen, dear learner at home, how to separate a mixture of two immiscible liquids. Let us go on to look at the last one, which is now separating by sublimation. This method is used to separate a mixture of two solids with different melting points. Sublimation can be defined as when a substance changes directly from solid to gas. So few substances that sublime are given here. We have iodine. Iodine is one of those. We have sulfur, some ammonium salts, solid carbon dioxide, yes, and then naphthalene and many more. Now let us look at a diagram for sublimation, dear learner. We have our evaporation dish there, and then we are going to have our mixture as well. It could be sand and one of the substances that sublime, sand and iodine. Yes, sand and iodine as a mix. Then we have our inverted funnel, which will act as a collecting funnel. It is going to collect our sublimate, which is going to be the vapor of iodine. Let us quickly look at a short video illustrating how to separate a mixture of sand and iodine crystals, which is one of those substances that sublime. We have iodine crystals there. We have sand in that. And I'm going to mix the two. As today we are separating mixtures, I'm going to pour my iodine crystals into the sand crucible. I'm pouring there, and then I'm going to use my stirring rod again to stir the mixture so that all of the two are mixed evenly. I'm pouring, stirring rather. After that, I'm going to light my heat source. It could be a Bunsen burner. I'm opening, lighting. Yes. And before I heat, I have to ensure I put my wire gas to protect my evaporating dish. So I'm taking it in there, putting on top, and then putting my inverted funnel. Note, dear learner at home, that the inverted funnel should be closed at the top by some wool or any cloth so that the fumes cannot escape. Yes, our mixture of sand and iodine is being heated. We are supposed to observe what is going to happen upon heating. We can see some fumes, some purple fumes there. Yes, we can see some purple fumes. That is our iodine subliming, vaporizing, and they are going to be collected in the inverted funnel. We can see. We are going to heat until all of the fumes have reached the inverted funnel, which acts as a collecting funnel in this case. Yes, you can see our fumes slowly vaporizing into our collecting funnel. Yes, we can see it's now getting a bit more of them. Yes, they are now collected in our inverted funnel. As you can see, those that have formed there are the fumes that have sublimed, fumes of the iodine crystals, and then now we are left with our sand in there. We are left with our sand in the heating, in the evaporating dish. We have our sand there, and then now we have seen how to separate using sublimation. I have got a few exercises to help you try at home, for you to try at home to see if you are following our lesson for today. The first one is explain why water flows in the light bulb condenser is opposite that of the vapor. Explain why water flow in the light bulb condenser is opposite that of the vapor. The second one, give the order of the distillation of the fractions from the mixtures of water with a boiling point of 100 degrees and petrol boiling point 70 degrees Celsius. And then the third one, describe how you would separate a mixture of sand and iodine, petrol and water. Answers to these questions, learners at home. Water flows against the flow of vapor from the bottom to the top of the condenser, so that the condenser will be completely filled with cold water, which ensures efficient cooling. The order of distillation of water with a boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius and petrol with a boiling point of 70 degrees is petrol first, then water. And 3, to separate a mixture of sand and iodine, I would use the sublimation technique. Why? Because since iodine is one of the substances that sublime, so heating the mixture will result in vaporization of iodine, which will then sublime in the collecting funnel, leaving the sand. And then to separate petrol and water, I would use the separating funnel. Since petrol and water are what? Are immiscible liquids with different densities, the petrol will float on the water, allowing collection of the water first, then the petrol later. Let us quickly review our summary for today's lesson, learners at home. In today's lesson, we have discussed simple distillation as a process of separating a mixture of solutions or two liquids. This technique is based on the differences in boiling points of the different substances. We further described fractional distillation as a technique used to separate a mixture of two or more liquids with different boiling points. The components of the mixture, fractions, are collected at the different temperatures at which they boil using a fractionating column. We are saying again, the fractionating column is packed with glass beads to give a large surface area for evaporation and condensation. And then a separating funnel is used to separate immiscible liquids. It is based on the differences in density of the different liquids. Sublimation is a method used to separate a mixture of two solids with different melting points. Sublimation defined as a process whereby a substance changes directly from solid to gas. And examples of substances that sublime are iodine, sulfur, some ammonium salts, solid carbon dioxide, and naphthalene. Thank you, dear Lena. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. We shall continue in the lessons yet to follow.
Thank you very much, Pentecost, for your lesson on separation techniques. We hope the Form 4s enjoyed that lesson, and of course, we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you so much. Viewers at home, please do not go anywhere. Lerato and myself will be right back after this.
Your favorite music show is back. We're bringing you the hottest music videos and live studio interviews with your favorite celebrities. We're giving you a front row seat to the latest fashion trends as well as your weekend gig guide. Join us live on social media and call in to send in your shout-outs. Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Friday at 5:30 p.m. live on Eswatini TV.
Welcome back to our viewers. Unfortunately, that was the last lesson for the day. We hope that you had a beautiful day. You had a beautiful Wednesday of learning. How was your day, Lerato?
As always, it was fantastic, and I really enjoyed today's weather as opposed to the other days. How was your day today?
My day was awesome. Thank you very much. I enjoyed literature as always, but hey, that's a story for another day. All right, guys, this is what your Thursday looks like tomorrow. From 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m., we have the grade 0 lesson. From 2:30 p.m. until 3:30 p.m., we have English language for the grades 1 and 2. From 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m., we have mathematics for grades 3 and 4. From 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m., we have science for the Form 1s and the Form 2s. From 4 p.m. until 4:30 p.m., we have English language for the Form 4s. From 4:30 p.m. until 5 p.m., we have physics for the Form 4s, which is the last subject for the day.
If you're at home, do not forget that we also have social media platforms, which are YouTube and Facebook, where we are live from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. And please do not forget to click that subscribe button so that whenever we are live, you get a notification.
Yes, of course. And also do not forget about our WhatsApp number that you can use to ask any questions that you might have during that lesson that you are watching. And of course, just to ask kindly that please do not call us or send voice notes. We will not be able to get to those. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. sharp. We hope that you will have some rest today and you will look forward to tomorrow's learning, of course.
From me, Nogwazi, and the team, it's goodbye. Stay safe. See you guys tomorrow. Bye. Guys.